Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the overlap gather sleeve we'll be working on, and I have the link to the full tutorial in the description box for this dress. So we start by getting a fabric that is wide enough for both sleeves to be cut together and long enough for the length of your sleeve. So you start by folding it into two, then into two again. As usual, we'll first draw our starting line. Next, come down by 4.5 inches for your cap line or cap height, and also draw that line. That will serve as the guideline for drawing your armhole curve and also where you'll be placing your bicep measurement. So divide your arm circumference at that bicep by 2 and add 1 inch for ease and an extra 1 inch for seam allowance, as you can see. Take the full length of your sleeve and also draw that line. That is where we'll be placing our wrist measurement. For that part, you work with your wrist circumference. Mine is 8 inches. Now multiply it by 2 because it will be gathered. So that will be 16 inches. So that's 16 inches. Just divide it by 2, which is the 8 inches you will see me mark. Now since the sleeve is gathered at that point, no need for ease. Just add your ½ inch to 1 inch seam allowance and connect it to that cap line that you drew. Next, we draw our armhole curve. So for the armhole curve, I'm just going to draw a curve that's the circumference of that curve will fit into the armhole that I have for the dress. So that is just what I'm marking to just make sure that it will fit into the armhole of the dress that I'm going to make. Cut out your sleeve. After cutting it out, please notch the midpoint, that is the tip of your sleeve. It is this basic sleeve that we are going to use to cut the sleeves that will overlap, that is the overlapping sleeve. Don't worry about this part, it's going to be gathered. For the overlapping sleeves, get a fabric that is the same width and length as the basic sleeve that you cut just now. Place the basic sleeve on it like so, but first of all, cut open the center of the sleeve. After cutting it, align the basic sleeve on the overlapping sleeve like this, and then cut it, just cut the outline of your sleeve exactly. So to demonstrate how the sleeve will look, just put your basic sleeve like this. That is the foundation. Then each of this part of the sleeve will come on top of the basic sleeve and then overlap, as you can see. But we'll be using white bias to make the decoration, gathering the base, and then it will just basically look like this. We'll be decorating our sleeve or casing it with this 1.5 inch velvet bias strip that I have. You can use any other fine trimming or any other fine kind of material to decorate it. But this is what I'll be using. All you just have to do is to fold it in order to hide the raw edges of each of these divided overlap parts of the sleeve. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So just do it for all the 4 pieces of the overlapping sleeve. After sewing the bias to it, the next thing to do is to iron it. As at the time of this recording, there was no light, so I was not able to iron my own. After you iron, next thing is to pin. So just pin all the way around the sleeve so that we can hold the edges down with our stitch. When you are pinning, make sure that the white areas, that is the place with the trimmings, overlap each other at the down, that is the wrist side, and also at the upper part, which is the middle part of the sleeve. Also make sure that they overlap at the tip, that is the middle of the sleeve. So after pinning the pieces in place, just take it to your sewing machine and sew all the way around, or you can just overlock it. After we are done stitching, this is what it will look like. And then turning it to the other side, you see what the back looks like. Our sleeve is already coming out, right? So the next thing to do is to run a simple gather sleeve about half inch away from the wrist area. So just run your gather stitch for both of the sleeves at the wrist area. After making the stitch, go ahead to pull. So to make your gathers, just pull only one of the two threads that constitutes a stitch. So that's what I'm doing. I'm pulling one of the threads and just gathering. And as you gather, please arrange so that everything will be uniform and fine. So do that for the other side too, so that you can have even gathers on both sides of the sleeve. Now while you are tugging on your thread, please be careful not to pull too tight or too strongly, so that your thread will not cut and then you have to start all over again. Now, I explained something about your sleeve circumference. So make sure that the gathers you have at that wrist area is enough for your sleeve circumference plus extra allowance to be able to join the sleeve together and it will be comfortable for you. So mine was not enough. I'm going to gather again. I'm just going to rearrange and lose some of the gathers so that it will be up to the measurements that I need. So remember your wrist circumference and plus extra allowance for sewing. So that's what I've done for both of the sleeves. We'll work on the cuff of the sleeve now. For that, I have two pieces of fabric that I've interfaced. So it's rectangular, 3.5 inches wide, and the length should be your sleeve circumference plus extra allowance to be able to join your sleeves together. So let's work on that. The sleeve circumference I'm working with is 9 inches, so I'll be adding that extra 1 inch or half inch for joining the sleeve together at the armhole area. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now that height that I cut, that 3.5, is just so that you can have half inch to join to the other part of the sleeve. So just give it a good press. After you've given it a good press to form a crease, also press that half inch that I'm showing you. Use your hot iron to press it to form a crease too. So I've gone ahead to only one part. I hope you understand what I'm doing. Only one part of the sleeve should be ironed like this. So the reason why we iron that place is so that we can use it to conceal the joining of the cuff to the sleeve later on. So just turn your sleeve onto the wrong side like this. Then the part of the cuff that is not ironed, the one that we left straight, is the one that you align to the gathered part of your sleeve, making sure that they are equal in length and they match. So when they do, you should take it to the sewing machine and sew it together, that is, join your cuff to your sleeve. Do the same for the second sleeve. Now after joining the cuff to the sleeve like so, you can go ahead and trim a little bit. I trim to avoid bulkiness at that area. But if you know your seam allowance is not, or your joining allowance is not enough to trim, don't trim. Next, use the parts that you creased with the pressing iron to cover all the stitches you've made down there so far. So make sure that it aligns. This is the importance of that crease. Use your pin to hold them in place. So the crease is what hides the stitch that we've made, so that when you turn it to the wrong side, you don't see any raw edges, and on the right side you don't also see any raw edges. Take it to the sewing machine and sew it. So when you are done sewing, you see that both the back and the front are neat and there is no raw edges showing. Do the same for your other sleeve. You can see that our sleeve has come out nicely. Next, just fold your sleeve in two. If you like, you can pin. Then at the wrist area, make sure that you have your wrist circumference and then your allowance for joining. After marking that, just join your sleeve with half an inch. After joining the sleeve, please endeavor to open it and iron it so that everything will look nice. After joining it, this is what it looks like, including the cuff. So our sleeve has come out really nice. You can use it for any sewing project. This is the abaya that I made the sleeves for, and I have the full tutorial links in the description box. Thank you so much for watching.